Welcome and good evening. My name is Balthazar, and tonight I will be playing Direct Strike on StarCraft 2, and maybe a little later we'll play some Desert Strike. So let's go ahead and start off and find a game here. I do prefer to play the one with the heroic commanders, so let's see what we can find. Alrighty. I'm going to start this evening with Stukov. I've been having a lot of success with him lately. And so let's see if we can go ahead and start this evening off with a win. Alright, while we're waiting on one more and for the game to start up, I'm going to go ahead and grab a drink. Alright, looks like we got our last player and we're loading up here. If you have not seen this game before, it's a lot of attack and counter-attack. You've got to balance what is in your lane against you, fight against the waves that you see most, and then also balance resource management, where you spend resources, when you build units, when you upgrade, and the big one is when you decide to spend money on mineral gain. Purchasing your geysers in this one gives you 0.5 minerals per second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but by the end of the game, especially if it's a long one, it ends up adding up quite significantly. Now, for just about any hero, you do want to go ahead and buy your first geyser right away. It's very safe, and it'll end up netting you a lot by the end of the game. Alright, let's go ahead and build my base line. Always got to do this part. These guys are going to tank for me throughout the whole game. Low hit point, low damage, but simply just a lot of them. And then we'll go ahead and get this upgrade here, and what it's going to do is make it so that every time any of these guys dies, they turn into a brutally, effectively doubling the amount of units that I've purchased here. Now at this stage, I'm actually a little disappointed that they killed those cannons. I'd much rather they would have just put a lot of damage on them instead, but left them alive. That way on a later wave when we've got fresh units, they hit that, easily take out those cannons, and then continue on to the bunker. When you take the bunker, everybody on your team gets 125 minerals. Alright, so we're on their side of the map, and if you look over in the top right, that little yellow mineral patch, means our team has mineral advantage, and that's an extra 1 mineral per second for each person on our team. And you can see how these little guys just end up swarming in there and overtaking. Oh, that couldn't have ended more perfectly with that siege, those cannons still just barely alive. So here I am building an infested bunker, and in it are 6 Marines, and when the bunker dies, the Marines will actually come out. Alright, so we know that 2 of these cannons are hurt very badly, so hopefully on this wave we'll be able to see some real damage and maybe even capture. We'll go ahead and shut them down and see if we can get out enough damage to take their bunker early. If we can, this will be a huge blow, but it looks like Phoenix here is going to go ahead and shut us down. We're keeping to their side, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my second gas. Both my teammates have actually already done it a little bit ago. We got to make sure we don't overspend on gas early though, because they are quite expensive, and each one that we're buying is minerals that we're not spending on units in our lanes. So I could have bought a second infested bunker, but instead I invested for futures essentially. Ooh, with all of those Ravasors up, I do think we are going to go ahead and capture this bunker. And there it is. A very good early grab. Which means I'm going to have enough money to go ahead and get 2 more infested bunkers before my next wave, which is going to be a big deal going into the next wave. I am going to go ahead and grab that next gas. I can't imagine that we're going to early game win this too quickly, so I'm going to start that gas to get the mineral advantage building up. The other team is being pushed back defensively, so odds are they're not going to be spending a lot of money on their gas. They're going to be spending money on units in their lane, which would be smart for them so that they can push us back to our side, because again, right now we've got that the side advantage. When we're on their side of the map, we get an extra mineral per second. They want to push us back to our side so that they get that, because right now we're just starting to snowball on them and keep that advantage just barely. Really see that mineral advantage adding up. Right now I've got 9 minerals per second plus another 1 for side of map advantage, so I got 10 minerals a second in all, and we are just rolling over the top of them right now. Now this guy's done a smart thing, purple here, and he's gone ahead and moved his cannons backwards so that they can work in tandem with their main base. Because when they're up here where this guy has decided to leave them so far, you see they just get destroyed before they really even had a chance to do anything. Alright, we've gone ahead and constructed the last infested bunker that we're going to build for a long time. We'll go ahead and get the armor upgrade for that bunker, and then we're going to move to Tier 2 tack. Now I'm starting to think they've got all these raptorlings here, and I'm wondering if I build some of these volatile infested, if we could just go ahead and clear out those raptorlings without really having to fight them. Just blow them up instead. So we'll put just a couple. We'll put a couple of those guys out there. And we'll see if we can just blow up those raptorlings, or yeah, the raptorlings, instead of fighting them. And that seemed to work pretty well. Gonna go ahead and get our armor and attack upgrades for ground units, because again, we've got our marines in our bunkers here, and then we've got all of these civilians that are doing an extra 2 damage in attack, which is just gonna be brutal with how many there are. Now, what I do, so I get a little more tankage before my bunkers get in there, is I go ahead and I make another set of these infested civilians all the way in the back of my lines. That way, any big hits that happen, they're going to happen to this front line of civilians. And all those front line of civilians will usually get wiped out pretty quick, but they'll have done their job. They've been doing some tanking. And then that second line of civilians will run in and continue tanking for my bunkers. And the bunkers are where all my real damage is. I'll go ahead and get that second armor upgrade for those bunkers. That's also for any vehicles and whatnot that we get later on. And now that we've got a really good tank line going on, we're going to build some tanks. Starting to look a little dire for them, but fortunately when we get backed up and fighting directly under their nexus, it does a lot of damage, 70 damage a shot, but it looks like we're just going to absolutely swarm in here and pull out fairly early win at only 11 minutes. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats here. The two main stats that we really are going to be looking at are damage dealt and damage taken. The other ones matter a little bit. They got the middle for 97 seconds, which was most of the early game. But then after that, we took control and had it for the rest of the game here. But really what you're going to do to figure out, who did well, who didn't do well, is add up damage dealt, damage taken, and you can really find out who's doing well, because some heroes, they do really well in damage dealt, and they might have so much more damage than everybody else in the game, but their damage taken was abysmal. But that's a big stat to be lacking on. So you're just going to add both those together and really find out where you're at. So I had 40 and 45, so I had 85,000 teammate here had 78,000, and Varsoon, I think this is, Corette was Varsoon, only had 47,000. And then on to the other team. Pink had, 61,000. Kerrigan here, this is our Tannis, we got Kerrigan. Alright, sorry about that. My wife called me. Can never ignore that. Get in a lot of trouble. Alright, let's do another game. We'll play Stukov again. Make sure that playing Stukov and winning so well was not a fluke. And then we'll move on to other heroes and see what's out there. Looks like we got Team Zerg splashes over here. Alright, I'm in the first position, which is not my favorite place to be. Nothing ever feels right on the first couple of ways.
We require more minerals.
But we'll make it work. We'll get out there. Get something across the line so that we can get that mineral advantage early so we can start ticking.
Metamorphosis complete.
Alright, let's see. Nobody's showing up yet. And we got some terrible position cannon on their part. I don't know why it's behind their bunker. If that bunker dies, we get that 125 minerals that the other team really doesn't want us to have. Typically, you want your cannons and everything to be in front of your bunker because every time your wave comes up, they're just going to respawn. So it's really not a big deal. It's really not a big deal if your cannons and whatnot die just because they'll respawn. You'd much rather have them die than your bunker. Oh man, we got Tychus on us. So he's got that big grenade that just goes ahead and wipes out almost all of my little guys there.
Minerals.
Now, early that Tychus is going to be bad news bears because he does a lot of damage, and again that grenade really just wipes me out. But later in the game, I find Tychus is actually super weak, as he doesn't get enough units on the board. All of his he only hires heroes, and each hero costs 700 minerals, and each one of those heroes has expensive upgrades where the cheapest upgrade is like 300-400 minerals. He's just a very expensive hero overall. And just doesn't get enough units on the board, so then your units can go ahead and focus fire down.
Victory is in our grasp.
Alright, let's go ahead and get our first bunker on the field. Once we got a couple, then we'll go ahead and get these marine upgrades. And this marine upgrade here is really strong. All infested marines deal an additional 50 damage over 11 seconds to units they attack. So they just add this dot that kills things just that little bit faster. You're doing basically about 5 damage a second on that dot, and it just adds up. And for little guys like this, they're just not going to live long enough. But for guys like Tychus, that is going to be a big deal. It's really going to hurt him bad. Once we've got a couple of these bunkers out, we'll go ahead and invest in that. Now I did go ahead and grab that second gas early. I may have been a little premature on that. We weren't really holding the middle, but we'll see how this turns out. Now if I pay attention, I might, just might, be able to get one more bunker out before my wave, and it looks like I am. Okay, before we ever buy that third refinery, we're really going to need to make sure that we're holding the middle so that our whole team has that advantage and not just me with a small advantage. There we go. Tychus wastes his grenade, and that's really going to hurt him here in a moment. Because he just didn't take out as many of those little guys as I bet he really would have wanted to. Going to go ahead and invest in marine attack range. We're going to shut down their bunkers.
We seek justice.
And we'll go ahead and grab theirs. Now, because we did grab theirs, I am going to go ahead and invest in the last gas. I didn't think we'd be doing it quite so soon, but with that minerals, with the minerals that you get from taking that, it's good just to reinvest it back into mineral gain. And he went ahead and threw his grenade, so he's not going to have it for all of my civilians that are about to come on him. And he'll die before they reach him anyway. Don't get too distracted watching the fight. Gotta make sure we're building. We should get enough minerals to build another one of those before the wave hits. Once we have 6, we'll call that enough bunkers. And then we'll move on to tier 2 tech. Sorry, I paused there for a long time while I started thinking about the game and what I want to do, and my brain just shuts down. And you just watch all those civilians swarm all over those guys. They just don't attack fast enough, and that's kind of the point. Is, yeah, they hit really hard, but they're kind of wasting their shots on all these little guys.
Storm is brewing.
Alrighty. And I think what I'm going to do, instead of investing in Tier 2 tech right now, we're going to go ahead and get that second line of civilians started.
We require more minerals.
We only got part of it out before the wave went, but that's okay. We're still doing good. We're not going to lose mineral advantage because I didn't get it out there, so I don't feel bad about it. Would have been nice to have a full set going, though, to have that full shock and awe of the second wave really impacting, but... we'll get that next wave. Alright, now we're done here with building these little first tier units and everything. So we'll go ahead and invest in Tier 2 and go from there. Once we get Tier 2, the first thing we're going to do is upgrade our infantry attack and defense because we've got so many of them. We're just not giving these guys a chance to move their static defenses back like they really need to. Alright, now we just got so many little guys out there that we're just overloading them. That base does 70 damage a shot, and these civilians, they really don't have that many hit points. So it's really just wasting its attack on all these tiny little guys. And that'll be the win as we overload their base with just too many civilians. Alright, and give me just a moment. Sounds like my kid just woke up, and she just had her tonsils out, so I gotta go ahead and check on her. I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, well that has to be just the cutest thing I've ever seen. I thought I was going upstairs to hear my daughter crying about being in pain, and instead I go upstairs to her pain meds having made her loopy, and she is laughing her little ass off about absolutely nothing. So I got her settled back down, and hopefully she'll be going to sleep here shortly. Okay, let's go ahead and play Kerrigan this run. I've had two very fast games. Alrighty. Now I recently found this new strategy for Kerrigan that I kind of like, which normally I would build a lot of Raptorlings and overwhelm them with Raptorlings, kind of in the same way I've been using civilians on Stukov. But in this other strategy, we get to tier 2 really fast, build a bunch of Hydralisks, kind of do a standard Zerg Hydralisk with Kerrigan thing. And then we get to tier 3 and we just start massing Tarrasques. And Tarrasques are these Ultralisk type creatures, big damage, cleave attacks. They heal for every unit they hit, they heal a certain amount. And then when they die the first time, they go ahead and respawn and keep going. Now that respawn time takes a moment, and oftentimes they die before they actually get back up, just depending on what's going on. But the strategy is you end up getting just so many of them that they can't end up killing them all before they respawn. So about half of them will get back up and just keep going and wreaking havoc while your wave of Hydralisks is behind them, just decimating everything in their path. So I've used it a couple times before and it's worked well for me. We'll see how it goes. And I've seen some variants on this strategy where people add lurkers in. I really think that's just going to matter on how much ground the enemy actually has. If they're full air, all those Tarrasques are just going to run underneath their air, and they're actually going to get in trouble when those Tarrasques make it to their static defenses, and there's nobody there to really stop them. So we'll see how it goes this time. We might have to modify if they go too much air. I might have to get more Hydralisks or something like that and see how we go. But we'll play by ear. If the game would ever load. Alright, here we go. Now, one advantage... Oh, looks like we lost our teammate. Probably why he was never loading in.
Power charge.
That's okay, we can play around that.
You're trying my patience. Not recommended.
Now, Kerrigan has an ability where she can start getting minerals a little faster
Not recommended.
than everybody else, so she can actually start getting a pretty decent mineral advantage over other commanders, and that's due to assimilate. When a unit dies, I can set them to assimilate, and I'll just go ahead and grab 100 minerals for them dying.
We require more minerals.
It's like we're just going to go back and forth on contesting each other and who has that side advantage mineral bonus. And Haka's going to keep that for us. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to do a lot for our side on this wave because I'm still waiting for that tier 2 tech to come up. And they really don't have any resistance for me, so she's going to do just fine.
Mutation complete.
Okay, tier 2 tech's ready. Go ahead and start getting my line of hydralisks up.
We require more minerals.
See if we can get one more before the wave. Didn't happen. Oh. Okay, there we go. Big thing is that we keep that mineral advantage, especially being down a hero. That's going to be a big deal for us if we can maintain that. Nope, didn't get him in time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start my next minerals.
Genetic matrix.
Now Kerrigan gets the ability to spread her creep, and her units get 10% more attack speed while fighting that creep. So I want to keep that pushed out as far as we can. Once a creep moves out, it can never be brought back. They can't kill it or anything like that.
Assets complete. We require more minerals.
But I just gotta stay on top of it, spread the creep out, and typically just keeping it in the center of the lane. You can see how wide of an area that creates. It's good enough. Ooh. Lost almost all of our hydralisks right there. They only have 1 and 2 hit points apiece. We can assimilate another creature, but we're going to go ahead and lay some down first. And we've got more creep to spread. Again, we want to keep that moving forward so we get that 10% attack speed. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my last mineral really quick here. It's very early in the game to have all 3. Normally on Kerrigan I do it just a little after 5 minutes, so I guess I'm not that early. She's one hero I love for that though, because she can grab it early without taking that huge hit, and that's because of assimilate. Alright, pretty soon I'm going to call this enough Hydras, and then we're going to start moving into Terrasks. But before that, we're going to go ahead and grab armor upgrades and everything.
We require more minerals.
One more. Alright, so let's go ahead. We'll start getting our armor upgrades, our attack upgrades, and then we'll get into Terrasks and see how well that it's going to work. And it looks like they're using ground against me primarily. We're not seeing air. So this should be a really good strategy.
We require more minerals.
And they are finally going to go ahead and grab that mineral advantage. They haven't had it for quite some time. All those little mines are just blowing us up, so we're going to go ahead and grab an Overseer so that we can try and find those before they kill me.
Complete. We require mutation.
Alright, keep the creep spread going. Oh, didn't quite get it. Lost sight before I could lay it down. All my 2-2 units look like they're doing pretty good, well against their 1-2 units.
We require more minerals. Metamorphosis complete.
Realized I was missing an upgrade for Kerrigan,
You're trying
and
my
that's her. It
patience.
gives her 200
Not
more health, and it gives her
recommended.
more health regeneration. So she's going to last a little longer on her own before she goes down. We also got attack speed, stacks 5 times, and makes her basic attacks hit 4 units instead of just 1. And we go ahead and pick up a bunker there while I'm talking and looking away. And that is going to go ahead and give us a big advantage. We got it before 10 minutes. Normally, as soon as I get that, I would pick up my next minerals, my next gas, but that doesn't unlock until 10 minutes into the game. So we've still got our lockout there. I think what we're gonna do to counteract those widow mines that are going on is I am gonna do my standard Zerglings. I'm just gonna not build as many as I normally would. Normally I would bring that all the way to the back. And by putting them in a long line up the side, it ensures that they funnel in instead of going in one big clump. They kind of funnel in the whole time. And by doing that, if there is something big like, say, a Tychus grenade or whatever, it doesn't just kill them all outright. Now, they are on our bunker here, so I'm going to have to use Kerrigan's ability. Stun them all briefly, do a little damage. Just buy us a tiny bit of time to get some more damage out and push them off. And right now we've got just enough to go ahead and get our first Terrask. Going ahead and purchasing an upgrade for Kerrigan, it reduces the cost of her energy spending abilities, so I can use them slightly more often. it looks like the Zerglings are working like a charm. They're taking all those first hits. They're absorbing a lot of damage for me. And just generally keeping those units off my Hydralisks a little bit longer. Alright, now that I've got 3 Hydralisks, I am going to want to go ahead and look at what upgrades they have. We'll go ahead and give them more armor. Get our Hydralisks more health. Burrow charge for the Tarrasques, and then this is the really important one after the armor. Every time they attack, they get 10 health. Plus 2 for each unit cleaved, so that's what keeps them up quite a bit longer. They do attack somewhat quickly. Yeah, every 0.6 seconds. Burrow charge means they get in there, get a little damage off before anything can happen, and since they're tunneled underground, they're not taking damage instead of just walking in.
We require more minerals.
And we're just a little after the 10-minute mark here, so we'll go ahead and grab that 4th mineral. It doesn't look like we're going to just charge in there and take the game. So if it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer of a game, go ahead and grab that 4th mineral. If it looks like you're going to get it over with real quick, just spend it on units and get the kills. That creep marching all the way to their base. And there's an upgrade in here for Raptorling health. Go ahead and take that. Trying not to invest too much in them, but making them last a little longer could help in the long run. Just doing a great job of keeping him to their side of the map and keeping us with that mineral advantage. Oh no. Yeah, we're just not paying attention, are we? Missed a Tarrasque and had it out that wave. That's okay. I don't think it's going to be game-breaking. Now this guy keeps going all these assault galleons. They're kind of an interesting unit. They've got a build order. They'll just sit there and drop units on you. They've got a little bit of an attack of their own. Nothing too major. But they don't really directly fight my Tarrasques, and that might be problem for them later on. And for some silly reason, I've never done that before, I've gone ahead and sent my builder all the way across the map.
The storm is brewing.
Okay, we got a full line of Tarrasque. We'll go ahead and upgrade their basic attack damage. Time to do it.
Victory is in our grasp.
And I know I want one more line of Terras, but I'm trying to decide if I want to get a few more Hydralisks, or go ahead and get those Terrasks now. I think I'm going to go for the Terrasks. And it doesn't look like it really matters what I decide, because that's going to be game right now. Now, because there was only 2 people on our team, comparing stats becomes a lot harder. You've got to do a lot more math, so we'll just go ahead and skip that. We'll look at the graph here in the end. Looks like we were up on top. And we'll just quickly jump right into the next game. Yeah, I'll do one more Kerrigan. Again, kind of make sure that that win wasn't a fluke. Was a little bit of a different game, only having one ally. Sometimes it's a hindrance, sometimes it's a boon. You've got one less person that can screw up. It does throw off things a little bit, because on a normal map, you're facing, generally facing the same wave each time around. You know, it's you versus Raynor, and every round you might have to clean up the wave before you use a couple units, but then you clash against Raynor, and if you kill Raynor, you might hit a few units on the other side, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, you're fighting the same person over and over, and you can build waves around that. I'm not going to get Kerrigan out before that wave, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw down a couple Zerglings and hope that they can get across the map fast enough that we go ahead and get the mineral advantage. If they're across the map before the enemy's across the map, we get mineral advantage. If they don't send anything, we get mineral advantage. So it's worth it just to send them out there.
You're trying. I am the swarm.
And they didn't send anything, so we're just going to go ahead and take mineral advantage for a little while and start getting that boost over the top of them. And it doesn't look like they're going to send anything again, so we're just going to go ahead and maintain that. Not a whole lot going on. Pretty slow start. And we'll go ahead and hit Tier 2 Tech. Start trying to get into Hydralisks early again. Third wave. Alright, was gonna be really surprised if we didn't see anybody this time. We got Swarm Queen, so that sounds like Abathur. And it looks like Kerrigan's just gonna mop her up handily. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take that now. It's a bit early, but we're already getting our mineral lead on them. We've had it for most of the game now.
Mutation complete.
Okay.
We require
Start
more
getting a few
minerals.
hydralisks out here. Alright, getting a little concerned. Typically what happens when you don't see anything going on is suddenly you get these huge tech jumps, like what's going on right now, where they went ahead and they rushed a higher end tech. But we lost our mineral advantage, but I'm going to go ahead and join Nova. We should be able to clear these guys out. And we already got our mineral advantage back. Alright, grab a few more hydralisks.
We require more minerals.
See if there's anybody to assimilate. I don't see anybody on their team. They don't have... They're just not sending that much out at us. Yeah, and Nova's just recognized what they're going for. With that air, and is countering it quite handily.
Victory is in our grasp.
Let's go ahead and pull our Hydralisk upgrades. Get a few more on the map.
We require more minerals.
And then we'll start looking at Karax. Oh, this guy's already got their hollow decoy. That's a big boy. 100 damage a hit, 1 attack a second. Lots of hit points. Just a huge tank. But unfortunately, high hit points, single targets, typically end up going down fast in this, as lots of units just end up swarming over the top of them. Oh, did not counter it well enough this wave, so we'll go ahead and take our damage upgrades. Make sure that we just pop over the top of that. Looks like their Nova's got her stealth upgrade, but it didn't last long enough. And with this, I'm going to go ahead and get my third mineral. Some good damage on that base there, but knew it wouldn't last. Creep out before we lose vision. Alright. Just marching down the map. I think these guys tech too much too fast and just back themselves into a corner. They're not going to lose right here, but... They just decided on their tech way too soon. And the sad thing is Nova's units are really strong. She's got very strong units, and for whatever reason, this guy's decided he's just not going to use them.
I am the swarm.
Alright, looks like we're going to have to go ahead and pull an Overseer in here. For Nova, we'll go ahead and pick up Kerrigan's energy efficiency upgrade. We'll go ahead and grab spike damage. We'll grab armor here after this. And then we're going to start getting into Tarrasques. Now she's finally getting into these units. She should have gotten into these a long time ago. She'd have had a lot more success, I think, if she did. She would have been able to hold mineral advantage for her team a lot better. Now there's one thing I haven't figured out, is some buildings in this game repel creep and some don't, and I can't figure out what the difference is. You'll see my creep spread in here, and it's going to get kicked out here in a little bit. Something's going to happen where all that creep is just going to get shoved out, so I'll have to just end up skirting around this location. Hey, it looks like his Liberators are going to win this round, maybe? There we go. Alright, one more Tarrasque and then we'll start looking at getting the upgrades for the Tarrasques. Okay, so first we're going to want armor. Plus 2 armor is going to be a huge deal. Go ahead and get 20 more hit points for each of our Hydras. Probably should have had that a while ago. And we'll watch our Tarrasques just go in there and wipe out their queens while Hydras have their fight against the Mutas and get slaughtered horribly. But we have mineral advantage because we got to their side first and we're maintaining it. And it looks like, we just barely lost it, but we'll get it back really quick. Go ahead and get an assimilate off here. We're a little after 10 minutes. Looks like this game's probably going to keep going on for a while. So we'll go ahead and grab that 4th mineral. I don't see this ending soon. They're finally starting to snowball with that high-tech strategy. And it looks like we've got to make a decision whether we want to force them to fight us on the ground or if we want to cave in and fight them in the air. But those mutas are just starting to get really strong. Fortunately, we've got a guy that's going pretty heavy against the anti-air. He's going to hold that out for us. Gonna be too slow to get that out for the wave. Gotta drop a creep tuner there and prevent the creep from collapsing in after the death of bunker. Now they're killing all of our guys up here, but we've got Karax back and then killing their guys too, slowing them down.
Vengeance is
Okay, I do think it's probably time to go ahead and get the damage upgrades for the Tarasks. Got enough of them. They need to get more damage out while they're on the field.
We mutation complete.
That is just so many Mutalisks. This guy's really going all in on the Mutalisks as we go all in on the Tarasks. If we were there just a little sooner, that might have been game. So I think we are going to go ahead and keep pushing that ground advantage. We'll let our allies worry about the air while we just circumvent that group. Really did a terrific job taking out the Mutalisks this time. So it looks like we're going to have a decent push in. Let's see what happens here. A lot of tanks. And it looks like it's just going to be too many tanks for me, but let's see how our ally can back us up. We're slowly getting this push in here. All those Mutalisks are just going to wipe out all these Dragoons. But then these Liberators are going to come in, wipe out all the Mutalisks. So it looks like they're going to push off, though. They're going to get a little bit of an advantage on that. Gain some ground. Now this is what I really needed. I needed all these tanks out of the way before my guys go in there, because those tanks just hurt so bad.
You're trying patience. Not recommended.
waits.
Alright, come on, Tarask. Get in there, get in there. Before their next wave has a chance. And that will be it. Looks like we made the right choice of skipping. Just avoid their air, go underneath them. Let our allies figure out how to deal with that. And then we'll take the win. Alright, how'd we do? We had not the greatest damage on the team. Did okay, nothing special. And pretty much the same for damage taken, although we can't compare against the other team too heavily because they had that other guy drop out very early in the game. So they essentially had two people for all that. So all these stats are significantly higher than they'd be if they had three people the entire time. So it looks like we actually did pretty decent. Nothing amazing. We did have a great damage dealer down here in Nova. Did her part well. And ended up being a very good game. Alrighty. Oops, stroke. About to have a stroke. Who should we try next? I've had some decent luck with Karax. Let's go ahead and give him another try. It's been a while since I played him. So let's see what we can make of him now. One thing that most people don't take advantage enough on Karax are his zealots. His zealots are amazing. They do good damage. They're decent little tanks. But they've got an upgrade on them that lets them respawn after they die, kind of like the Tarasks. But the Tarasks can be attacked while they're respawning, where these zealots can't. They're completely immune to all damage while they're coming back up. So they can really provide a lot of tankage for your team and a lot of delay. They can turn the, depending on how they come back up, say 6 of your guys die simultaneously and the enemy wave starts moving on, then they respawn, the enemy team turns around and goes back to them and starts fighting them again, or they might die one at a time and then the enemy wave just keeps stuttering back and forth as your guys respawn and get in range of the enemies again. So what we'll do, we'll just get a couple sentinels out as fast as we can. Make sure we got a couple for our wave. Get our cannons down. And we'll see where we're going. Now, I've just never used the support carriers enough. They're actually really amazing. Mass Mirage, I've seen great things out of that. Annihilators are strong, but you really want to have enough sentinels in front of your annihilators. Oh, looks like we've got a Tychus. Not a big fan of Tychus. Some people really seem to enjoy him. I just never see enough upside to him. Early game Tychus is really strong. He can only hire... Oh, we've got a Tychus of our own. He can only hire heroes. He's got a few of them that he can do. The problem is they each cost 700, and they each have some really, really expensive upgrades. I'm going to do a silly thing. I'm going to go ahead and grab a second minerals really soon. Alright, got our reconstruct, we got charge, we got a passive that heals units. Oof. That no shot. And it's going to be really expensive, but we're going to want a full row of these sentinels, and then we'll start grabbing some annihilators. People love that Crooked Sam guy just because he's an early invisible unit, but I don't get it. Yeah, Dragar, I just really don't understand Tychus at all. And if his upgrades weren't so expensive, I could get it. If Tychus's upgrades weren't so ludicrously expensive, or if the upgrades worked for every iteration of that character, he could be decent. But that's not how he works, so he's kind of bad, and I just don't understand. I played him once, I built 2 medics, found out that I had to get those upgrades for each medic that I built, and just, that was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. But we'll go ahead and get some Annihilators next. Really strong. Now, Karax isn't a hero I play too often, so I'm not super well versed on the strategies for him, but try and mix it up. Try to not just sit here and play the exact same heroes over and over.
Let fury unyield. I return to serve.
I know it's Protoss, but for the Swarm. Just get so many units out there that they have issues to handling them. And pretty soon we're going to get our Annihilators out there. So all these little Sentinels are going to tank for our Annihilators. And with their reconstruct, they'll be able to last a nice long time so that those Annihilators really have a chance to get some damage out. Probably get 2 more, and then we'll go ahead and get this Shadow Cannon. Really want to make sure that we get good benefit out of that when that first comes out. Get it too early, and yeah, I mean, one guy gets some really good shots, but you're just not getting a full benefit until you've got a nice number out there on the field. Looks like with the addition of these Annihilators, we're able to turn my wave around. I lost the last couple, but now we're starting to win again. I've been silly and apparently forgot to build my shield generator. Let's see if we can go ahead and move this cannon over into the effects of it. There we go. And we've got enough units. Go ahead and buy that upgrade now. Go ahead and start getting a bunch of upgrades we've kind of fallen behind on. Alright. Our Sentinel Wave is still tanking well for us, but I think we're going to go ahead and grab some armor upgrades. Make our Sentinels last just a little bit longer. They do end up having more hit points than shields, so the armor upgrade is a little bit better value. Probably should get a detector ourselves soon, huh? Alright, let's get an attack upgrade. Alright, still handling our waves, still doing alright. I would really love to hit that third minerals right now, but we're just barely holding on to our wave. And I think that'd be a mistake. I think losing those minerals right now, long-term gain, but short-term loss. And that short-term loss could mean losing the mineral, or the middle, which is 1 mineral a second. So, not something I really want to do right now. But hopefully soon we'll get their bunker, and then we'll just reinvest. We'll take the 125 we get from their bunker, reinvest it into the assimilators here. Alright, let's get the shields upgraded. There we go, nice push. Oh, didn't quite get there. Alright, we got all of those upgrades now. Go ahead and get just a few more annihilators, and then I think we're going to go ahead and start looking at support carriers. Like both of our allies are starting to hold their waves, so we're getting a really good push here, keeping that mineral advantage for ourselves. This is going really well right now. And again, we just barely didn't make it there in time. But with each annihilator we make, we get another shadow cannon shot. Oh, there we go. Our ally got it for us. And we'll go ahead and again take that mineral advantage that we got for killing the bunker and just reinvest it into minerals. And then we're going to go ahead and take tier 3 tech and start working into support carriers. Which is probably where we're going to spend most of our minerals the rest of the game, if I had to imagine. How expensive are those guys? 400? Build 1.5 a wave so long as we keep the middle advantage. Which we are slowly losing.
Let us finish this. Carrier has arrived.
Alrighty. Might be able to get a second carrier out before the wave. Looks like we are. Great. And looks like we're just gonna start getting pushed back onto their side again. We lost the middle for a bit, but I think we're gonna start gaining it again. Oh no! There we go. These liberators hurt like crazy.
Engaging glory.
Alright, I think we're gonna have to go back into upgrades again here shortly. And I think we're gonna go ahead and just hose that next marine wave. Really get a push going. Go ahead and take this. Alright. Take ground unit, armor, and then shields. Ground unit attack. Get a few more carriers. I think when we get a full row going across there, then we'll go ahead and invest in the carriers attack and armor. But again, I want enough of them that we really get the value out of those upgrades instead of getting the upgrade prematurely, where we could have gotten more value of just getting more units. Oh, look at all those protectors go down, or sentinels.
The end rotate.
Alright, what's our detector? We need one of them.
Research complete.
We're hitting that awkward time in the game where it could be a great time to get that last mineral, or it might just be a terrible investment because the game's going to be over in 5 minutes. So sometimes these games end up lasting half an hour, 40 minutes. Getting that mineral thing now would be a great idea, but not knowing how long we're going to end up going here really puts the question on that. So. They keep pushing us back every time we move in, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be a good idea to get it. Double check, make sure we're not missing any upgrades. I like to do that. Miss upgrades, not double check. I fail at double checking. Oh, hurry up, we can get another carrier out for our wave. That is a lot of tanks. Fortunately, those Thors are wiping out the Liberators before they have a chance of hitting my carriers. All their tanks made my guys run wide. Kind of turning into a good thing. All my Annihilators stacked up on one side and we're just marching down their siege tanks. Until that happened and all my Annihilators got murdered because the Sentinels were in front of them. Alright, we got a full line of carriers. Now it's definitely time to start grabbing these upgrades. those upgrades now, and you'll do this, and then you'll start seeing big changes in the lanes. There we go. Protectors, get out there and tank for those siege tanks.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
Oh! Just tore through my four carriers, but it's not going to matter. And that's the game. Yeah, Drake, I've had some long matches. I actually had one about a month and a half ago that ended up going to 65 minutes or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous, and the entire thing happened in the middle. I don't think the bunkers fell until after 30 minutes into the game. It was so well balanced that each team had almost the exact same time, seconds owning the middle and all of that. We were just really countering each other very well. Alright, so now let's look at stats. The stats that are most important in this game are damage dealt and damage taken. And it looks like we did really well. Looks like 230,000. Teammate here. Tychus did pretty decent. I normally not a big fan of Tychus, but he pulled just over 150, 152 here. Other Tychus, let's see, so yeah, basically the exact same, right around 152. So thank you, Dreg. I'm actually having a great night. I've yet to lose a game. I'm trying new heroes, seeing what we can make happen, but getting good teammates and everything's just lining up tonight. Alright, who should we play this time? Oh, I know who I want to play. We haven't played, Zagara tonight. Zagara's my girl. Really like this game mode. They did a great job on balancing. Basically the only hero I'd say is worthless is Tychus. Just can't express enough how much I don't like that hero. But all the others are really well balanced. They did a great job. And they're all very fun. They're all very unique. All right, let's get the Swarm Mother out here. She's my girl. Just so hot. Okay. So I've got a little bit of a different strategy than most people have here. I get a couple of queens, and then we're going to tech up really fast and get to aberrations, and then we're going to just kind of stack into aberrations for a little while. Aberrations and hunter killers. And the reason is we'll just win the ground game really well by basically just suicide bombers. When the aberrations die, when an aberration dies, it creates spitterlings, and spitterlings explode, do stupid amounts of damage. So we'll put a bunch of aberrations out there, which are nice tanks. They'll get in there, they'll do a decent amount of damage, and then they're going to die, and they're going to blow up, and each splitterling, when it dies, creates more little explosive dudes that die and blow up more people. So it'll be great. We're just going to go suicide bombers on him. This guy's got the idea. Same general principle that I'm starting with, but... But we're going to just race into this tech here.
Metamorphosis complete.
I actually do play Commanders very often. Yeah, I really love this play mode. There's another couple of play modes that I play a lot. I play Desert Strike quite a bit, but I like the Commanders too much. I also play, Squadron Defense? But I'm really only good at Celestial on that, so it's basically playing the same thing over and over. I can't figure out any of the other races on Squadron D. And unfortunately this strategy is a little slow going, and somebody like Tychus is just going to pick on us for a while. But once we get into aberrations, that's going to start turning around quickly as we just start suicide bombing on him. Just takes a little bit of time to get into that groove.
Mutation complete.
Throw fate to the wind.
Alrighty.
Storm is brewed.
So after I get a couple of aberrations, then we'll start getting these Spitterling upgrades. And they are going to just do wonders for how much damage output you get on them out of your aberrations and out of all these free Spitterlings. I love the free ones. Sometimes I end up purchasing some of my own, but I usually end up with a full row just by all the free ones you end up getting by the end of the game. So we'll go ahead and get one more aberration, I think, and then we're going to go ahead. Well, thank you for following, Dragar. We'll go ahead and get one more aberration, I think. And then we'll start getting Spitterling upgrades, because you want to, again, make sure that you really get the value out of your upgrades. Alright, the first one that we're going to want is Spitterlings do 100% more damage to their initial target. That's the big one. We'll go ahead and get Zagara's AoE launch. And we'll hold off on the rest for now. They are very good, but we just need more aberrations in front of us.
Forward to victory.
All right. And I just love it when I play Zagara and people think they're going to counter me with ground forces. But then again, it's also funny when they try to avoid you and just go air and all of your aberrations run underneath them, hit their base, and then they start exploding and then do stupid amounts of damage. So honestly, there's just not a great way to fight Zagara if she decides to start going all these suicide bombers. I would really love to get that third mineral, but we're just not staying on their side. We're not getting there hardly at all. Oh, you got snipe. I got suicide bombers. Good job.
Glory.
Alright, I think to counteract that snipe wave, we'll go ahead and get the centrifugal force so all of our little suicide bombers get there a little faster. Maybe they'll be able to get into those snipers just a little bit quicker. Oh boy. Got our butts handed to us that wave. Let's go ahead, get an overseer. We need to be able to see them.
Kinetic matrix charged.
Almost got a full row of aberrations, and then we're going to start getting into hunter killers. Well, somebody's lagging. Might be able to get one built before the round. Doesn't look like it.
Storm is brewing.
One more and we get into hunter killers. We'll need to grab some upgrades before that, but that's one thing that Zagara is nice for, is she doesn't have split upgrades for her range units and melee units. They're all just the same thing. Alright, let's use this, see if we can get some advantage out there. Sometimes it's best not to use your own buffs on your own waves. You gotta not be greedy team game. Realize where you're gonna get the most value out of it, use it. Alrighty, so we do have a full row of aberrations. We're going to go ahead and get the Spitterling upgrade. That's going to increase the radius that they blow up, giving it a little more damage that way.
It's complete.
Boy, somebody's lagging horribly. And now we need to start grabbing all these armor upgrades so our units can last just a little longer. I've actually never seen somebody try and counter me with Ghost before, and it does seem to be working. And I gotta commend them on that. That's the first time I've seen a really good counter to mass aberration. We'll see if it holds out in the end. Alright, finally got all those armor upgrades. Alright, let's start and get some hunter killers out here. Man, all those ghosts are just silly.
Kinetic matrix.
We
This is the wave we want to be fighting against. All those annihilators just get smoked. Just like that. Or even Tychus's wave. Boy, we're just having an issue with those ghosts.
more minerals.
Confirm.
Wondering what we can do about that. We need to get something. We're just not getting past those Hellbat Rangers very well. Alrighty. As soon as Tychus is dead, I think we're going to go ahead and use our boost. Get running in a little bit faster, see if we can get some more damage out. Looks like we need a second observer. Killing our guy too quickly. Hate wasting money that way, but it's also time to start getting some attack upgrades.
We require more minerals. We require more minerals. We require more minerals. We require more minerals.
Stop killing my detectors. Alright, we finally got all of our attack upgrades. It looks like we need to go ahead and move our static defenses backwards when we get a chance. Alright. Everything move backwards. 20 charges to move a silly little building. Alrighty. Back on the warpath here. Not sure who this guy's referring to. Oh, they're saying I need to get detectors, but I actually have 2. Alright, let's get a second row of hydralisks, and then we're actually going to go back into aberrations again. Alright, looks like we're finally having a good wave. Haven't had one of those in a while.
We require more minerals. We require
People leak and then blame it on me. They're letting their mirages through, which are lasting all the way to my wave, killing my overlords, and then they think it's my fault that I don't have detection.
we require more.
Looks like we're finally turning this around. Zagara is actually a pretty good late game hero, so. She just starts to snowball so well as the game goes along.
Require more minerals. We require more minerals.
What do you think? Do you think It's gotta be too late in the game to be getting my next gas, right? Been holding off because we've been pushed to our side, but we've been pushed to our side because both my teammates got greedy and they took their third and fourth gases early in the game when we weren't holding mineral advantage. If you're not holding that middle mineral advantage, it's generally not a good idea to take your third and fourth gas. You gotta get to the center before you get that. It's always so important that you get your team 1 mineral a second, then get yourself 1 mineral a second, and cost a lot of money to do it. Alright, we're going to start going back into aberrations. More tank, more suicide bombers. Nope, didn't place him right. Can we grab him? There we go. Little anal retentive there. It's got to be in the right place. We don't do things haphazardly.
Storm is brewing.
Well, we have a real winner here.
Magnetic matrix. Charge.
Alright, now we're fighting red full force. Really haven't done much of that this game, and he's gonna just absolutely roll over the top, isn't he? It's not who we've really been building for.
Magnetic matrix. Charge.
There it is. The full row of spitterlings. Yeah, those free banelings are amazing, Dragar. Yeah, that's the first time I've played against a Nova that's decided just to go full snipers. It's going well for me now that our lanes are a little bit staggered and her snipes are getting used on the guy before me. So now I just gotta roll back over the top of her. But when she's using those snipes on me, it was hurting pretty bad, but now I'm getting hit by those annihilators, so it's kind of a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other situation. You know, do I want to get my entire wave slaughtered by snipers, or do I want to get them slaughtered by annihilator shots? It's really not making a big difference to me either way. It's kind of semantics. I think we're going to go ahead and use Frenzy. Was going to use it right there, but then then all the snipes went out. Alright, as soon as this wave goes down, I think I'm going to go ahead and use that frenzy to try and push a little deeper, a little faster into this Protoss wave. There we go, getting back into those Annihilators, getting them down in a hurry. And we're going to go ahead and get this 5% speed increase for everybody. It's not super big. Oh, who just left? I do believe that was Nova. It's going to be an interesting change for the game. Always throws things off by quite a bit when somebody leaves like that. Never know if it's going to end up being a good thing or a bad thing. Alright.
Forward to victory.
This is probably going to be my last game. My mountain time, it's pushing 1 a.m. Oh, look at all those guys. They're just going to run past. And start. What in the world happened there? I'm very confused. They just died and I didn't even see any suicide bombers coming out afterwards. Alright, I think we're going to start going Corruptors here in just a second. We're going to start handling some of that Air Force, and these Corruptors are nice because then they just spawn Scourge afterwards. And I did get my last... Yep. Did get my last aberration put up there. Looks like this is actually going to be a game that Nova dropping was a big detriment to them, it looks like. She was helping them home pretty well. So I don't think there's a whole lot that they're going to do with so many suicide bombers on their base. Unless they die without dropping. There we go. Alright, let's check the stats. Nova. Nova was a big deal for them for... Well, maybe not. Let's see. Wow, that guy's stats are amazing compared to his teammates. Look at Red here. He's got 282 and 257. That is huge. And then you compare it to his teammates, and he absolutely dominated them. In fact, he absolutely dominated everybody else in the game here. Now, it is a little skewed because Nova did leave early. So his stats and Purple's stats are a little bit padded. They got some extra ticks for those, what was that, maybe 10 waves or something that she was gone. So he got a couple extra waves out in that, so he got a little padding in it, but he actually fairly well dominated my stats here, and I beat out my teammates. It looks like Pink was the weak link on our team, doing only 112,000 damage. Had some decent tank though, 186, so he was tanking well, just wasn't putting out any damage. The other Zagara in our team did very well, not very far behind. Nova and Tychus were very comparable to each other. Tychus doing better than I would have imagined. This guy actually must know what he's doing on Tychus. Don't see very many players doing that. But then that Karax up there, he did really well. Let's. I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see what he built. Nice line of Sentinels, I always do that. Nice line of Annihilators, but then he followed it up with Mirages and a lot of support carriers, and then a handful of the the walkers. Now, I've not been a big fan of his version of the walkers. They're not the laser beam ones that do lots of AoE damage. They're actually a single target unit. But he apparently got a lot of value out of them, so cannot complain about his setup at all. He did very well. Surprisingly enough, I really expected red, which was Karax, to be at the top of this chart. He's actually nearing the bottom. Unsurprisingly, Tychus is all the way down at the bottom. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and call that an evening. Dragar, thanks for following, and hopefully I'll catch you later. You guys have a good night.